Hello everyone, I'm Steve, G0TAN, and I would like to welcome you to another in the series of Martin Lynch's helpful ham videos. Today what I'm going to do is show you how to fit plugs onto bits of coax. It's a question we get asked quite often in the workshop, and it's part of the intermediate exam, the practical exercise of the intermediate exam. So it's hopefully it's going to help you do stuff at home, which you've never done before. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, thank you. Right, so the first one that I'm going to show you is the PL259. This is the screw-on connector, and it's primarily used for RG213 type coax. The RG213 we no longer stock, basically because we're using the Messian Palauni Ultraflex 10, which is a far superior type of coax, and it's a little bit more difficult to fit this type of connector to that coax. So this is the RG213. If you still have some of this at home, it's great. I'll show you quickly how to put it on. So we're going to start off. The first thing when you're fitting a plug to a piece of coax is slightly disassemble it, and remember to put the back shell on first. In this particular example, I've only got a piece that's about 300 millimeters long, so it doesn't matter. But if you've got a bit that's going down the length of your garden and you forget to put this connector on, it's a right pain in the neck getting it off again. And once you do put it on, make sure you put it on the right way round, not like this, the other way. Make sure it's the correct way round. So the first thing you're going to do is actually measure where you're going to cut the outer sheath. On these type of connectors, I like to line up the inner part of the end of the coax with the end of the plug there. And I don't know whether you can see, but just there underneath the threaded part, this little bit here, is where I make my first incision. So we get a nice little sharp knife, and we do a nice score, just a score. You don't want to cut into the braiding or anything like that. You don't want to cut into your thumbs because that makes a bit of a nasty mess. So once we've got that done, hopefully, oops, wrong way, and then if I just pull that out straight down there, and then once we've got that done, if I'm lucky, we can just peel it back, and there you have your first bit of braid. Now with the RG213 you only have one piece of braid, okay, and with the Ultraflex you have an inner screen as well, which is why it makes it a bit more difficult to fit this type of plug. So once you've got the braid out, just fan it out, fan it all the way out, just tease it out, just like you're unplaiting someone's hair or something like that. It takes a little while, makes your fingers a bit mucky, but hey, that's what we do in this business, mucky fingers. Okay, once you've got that, you then just basically you force that back over the sheath. Now there are two ways of mounting these types of connectors on this type of coax. You can do it where you actually wrap the braid round here, the inner insulator, you screw that on, and then you try and solder through the holes in the actual connector. The problem with doing it that way is that you, depending on the type of insulation material, sometimes you can melt that and actually put a short through. The other way is you don't always make good connections. And the third, probably the most important thing, is that the actual plug itself can still rotate around. And if you do that, if you do it too often, it can actually break the connection that you've made. So you end up with a very bad connection there, and causes you all sorts of problems later on in life. So our preferred method here is we push the braiding back once it's been unteased, and then what we do is we make another incision here to take off the insulation. And basically what you want to do is again line the two ends together. You've got this pretty much lined up with the bottom of that, and if you look at that little ridge there, that's where you want to take off the insulation. Again, just cutting a little bit all the way around, try not to cut the inner cable, and if you're lucky you can just tease that out like so. Once you've got that, make sure it's all clear inside, and if you're lucky you push that up in there, and then you can just start screwing that on. And you screw and screw and screw. It does get very tight, which is a good thing. And then a pair of pliers helps. You can just screw that down. hopefully this is, you can see what's happening here. Right, so you need a good pair of pliers and a good strong grip, and eventually you should see the inner coming through. It does take a little bit of winding. Okay, that should do it. That should be good enough. Yeah, I can see that there. That's good. Now, what you should do now, see all this mess around here, well, we need to trim that off. I need a pair of, actually what I can do for now, I'd normally use a pair of wire cutters, but as I don't have them here at the moment, I'll have to go and get them in a minute, I forgot them. I just use this bit of braid, this bit of knife to just trim them off. And then once you've done that, you can, if you're fairly pedantic or you want to do a good job, you can put some heat shrink over it. Very thin walled heat shrink, because otherwise you won't get the back shell on. So all I'm doing is just doing it lightly just to trim off the copper, the braid. Right, okay. That's that one. And clear up our mess a little bit. Here we go. And then what you do is down the end there, you can just about see the copper inner core. Get some solder, nice hot soldering iron, and with any luck, we go I'll take this all the way down. Now, if you're doing this outside, it's probably worthwhile, sorry, if this plug is for outside, it's worthwhile trying to fill up the end hole with solder if you can. Although this type of plug is not that waterproof, so which is why I recommend the compression type of fittings. But inside, just as long as the inner core of the inner conductor is actually touching the center pin on there, you'll be fine. Once you've done that, you're pretty much done. The only thing, if you have some sort of multimeter with a continuity tester, then what you can do is just make sure you haven't got any shorts between the center pin and the outer sheath. So that's the simple way of doing the screw-on type connectors. So there you go, thank you.
Yeah.